Hi guys, this is Zach from Watches on You, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Rolex Submariner Date Reference 126610LN. This is the brand new 41mm Rolex Submariner. So with regard to this watch, it recently came out. However, it does make some significant changes to the Submariner line. I would say more major changes that have been seen in most, really any Rolex collection since the introduction of the ceramic models. So with the changes in this watch, you can see that it really keeps the same design because obviously the Submariner is probably the most iconic watch out there, period. So it's not really, they're not going to make massive changes to the design with regard to the shape of the indices, bezel. It's all going to stay roughly the same, which I really like since, again, the Submariner design is so classic and clean. It's just the definition of what a dive watch should look like. So with regard to the changes on this watch, however, the most noticeable changes by far are with the case of this watch. So the case is now stated to be 41 millimeters instead of 40 millimeters. However, this really isn't a big change because the old watch was actually a little bit larger than 40 millimeters and this one is slightly under 41. So it's actually a very minor change in diameter. The major difference that you see is is the shape of the lugs. So as you can see, the lugs are much, much thinner than the previous model if you've ever held the previous model. The previous Submariner had really blocky, square lugs that just made the watch wear way bigger than previous aluminum bezel Submariners. I would say it wore almost like a 42 or 43 because the lugs were so wide. This brings back the thin lugs like it exists on the GMT Master models as well. So it wears, in my opinion, much nicer on the wrist. I really love the improvement that they made. And you can even see, this is a 16610 Sea Dweller, but you can see how much thinner the lugs are on this watch than they are on the previous Submariner versus this one now, which goes back to that aluminum bezel era kind of shape of lugs. So other than that, though, the watch has stayed really the same. The thickness is about the exact same. The movement, though, was upgraded. So the movement is now a 3235 versus a 3135. And what that changes is it brings a power reserve up to 70 hours. So that's really the main difference you're going to notice. It has an accuracy of plus minus 2 seconds, which is fantastic. But the main difference you're going to see is the 70-hour power reserve up from the 48-hour power reserve on the previous models. So now that's kind of the changes of this. Now we're just going to kind of go over the watch as a whole. So the bracelet on this is a standard oyster bracelet with a glide lock clasp, but that's been present on Submariners for quite some time now. So the best part about this glide lock clasp is you can simply pull the bracelet down here and then you have a range of micro adjustments that you can just freely change the length of the bracelet. And this is really helpful because a lot of times your wrist will change size throughout the day, or you just don't want to have to take out a tool if your wrist changes size over time. You can just do a quick adjustment, no tools necessary. You don't have to bring it into a dealer or something to have them change it for you. It just really streamlines the process of bracelet adjustment, which I really like. So now I'm going to go on to the wrist shot. So on the wrist, this watch is really great. It fits absolutely fantastically. It has a good amount of heft, although it doesn't feel overly weighted. It really just feels like a super high quality wristwatch, which is what you want when you're getting a Rolex, obviously. The bracelet itself, I think, looks fantastic and feels great. The oyster bracelet has really stood the test of time, and it's pretty clear why. No hair pulling or anything. It's awesome. Same with the clasp. You have the safety, and then just pull it to break it. Just pull it open. No buttons or anything. Again, super comfortable, very solid. I mean, this mechanism here is just. It's never gonna have. You're never gonna have any reliability issues ever. It's solid steel, super high quality. So overall, I would say I really love the improvements Rolex has brought with this watch, and I think they've really been listening to the watch community with this one, since that really was the main issue that people in the watch community had with the previous model was this lug size, and I really appreciate that, since I personally prefer to the aluminum bezel Submariners to the first editions of the ceramic Submariner, the previous model to this, with the wide lugs. I thought the old ones looked nicer and felt nicer on the wrist. So this is, I think, a good improvement. And beyond just aesthetics, I think it's also going to open this watch up to smaller wrists, which I think is great, because again, it makes it wear much more closely to that 40 millimeter historical size of the Submariner, even though, again, they do quote it as being a 41 millimeter watch. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you like the improvements that they made with this? Do any of you prefer the square lugs, and why? I'd be really curious about that. This watch, now getting into pricing here, this watch retails for $10,100. However, you're really not going to be able to get it for that price unless you want to wait years on waiting lists, because 80s everywhere are sold out. You're going to be paying much higher than that on the secondhand market, which is something that's really sad kind of about Rolex, just because it is a lot harder to get into the market because of the inflated prices. But it definitely is a testament to the design of these watches, how they're able to get such high demand. So that's what it is. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I would like to thank Wixon Jewelers in Minnesota for lending us this watch for the purpose of this review. Sadly, this is not available, as this is actually an exhibition only piece. Again, simply due to the demand for this watch. So thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share.